Okay, so I'm live. I don't even know if anybody's here. You probably don't know. I told you I was going live, but I'm live, and I'm going to try to save this video so you can watch it later. And if I keep looking this way, because I'm not used to looking at the camera right there, and I hope that you guys are well. I want to get on and complete the breakdown of this, so I'm going to kind of be reading off the screen here and talking a little bit. First few videos, we talked about the land, talked about the plans, and I talked about the house, how they built the shell. Somebody asked a question here, and in fact, I try to address folks by name, and I'll do that here. I'm sorry about this, man. I'm just trying to do this. And it's only so much preparing you can do for this. It really, I'm just wanting to get on and really want to just get on and do this and talk. So, but you can kind of see in the background more of the kitchen. I'll do more of a video straight shot of everything. And what I want to do is I'm going to do a separate video. You asked about showing the piers more. And what I want to do is I'm going to, in a video, I'll walk around and show the piers under the house, and I'll show basically what it was is perimeter footings with concrete around the perimeter of the house, and you have concrete blocks that go up 24 inches. And in those footings, there are what they call steel PA straps. The concrete guys put down in. There's rebar under there about 18 inches into the ground, and the PAs hook up. And the process was the concrete people came up, they dug the footing holes, did the rebar and the PA. They came out and they inspected those. Then they had to come back after those passed inspection. They filled it all with concrete, had the PA straps coming up, and then they put the blocks in on a separate thing and filled the blocks with concrete to build piers out of them. So they were basically just cinder blocks. And they were, I think, 2 or 3 high that went to about 24 inches high from the base of the footing. So, but I'll show pictures of that in a separate video. So, because I know that you asked, and I will address that for you. I think the channel name Moro. I will do that. I'll get that taken care of for you. I will indeed. So, but anyway, moving forward. So we talked about that stuff and getting into the process of starting to talk about. Like I said, your cost is going to vary. It was a lot of odds and ends stuff that's going to vary depending on you and me, depending on types of doors that you want, types of cabinets, blinds, all this stuff that you see, refrigerator, the kitchen. It's small for a tiny home, and me being by myself. These are the things you have to think about when you look at what kind of kitchen you want in a house like this. You can't want this huge oven and all this stuff that's going to take up the room. You're going to need a bigger house, and your whole point is tiny home. That little space right there is more than ideal for me. I can do everything I need to do in that little microwave oven right there. It is a 7-in-1. It can air fry, convection oven just like your oven. I can do it in a microwave. I don't know what an inverter is, and it does something else. Honest to God, I probably won't do anything with half of that, the features on that microwave. I have something called a range mate that I'll talk about later. The thing is so cool. I think I may have shown it. Basically what it does, look up range mate, cookware on YouTube, and it'll show you. Basically what it is, it's a pot you put in the microwave, it heats it up and turns it to a grill. You put your steak on there. You heat it up for about 4 minutes, you put your steak in, you butter it, season it, put it in, put a little more butter on it, put it in the microwave for 2 or 3 minutes, bring it out, flip it, check it in a couple more minutes, and it cooks itself. It grills it, and it doesn't microwave it. It's pretty cool, provided the range mate works. I grilled some steak the other night, and I don't know if maybe, I've had it for so long, if maybe the seal or something's wearing out or something, or maybe not. Maybe it's just the steak I bought. I don't think it microwaved it, it grilled it, but be it that way. But anyway, moving forward, like I said, you got to think about all these things. The cost is going to vary. Now, I'll talk about the bulk cost of what everything costs. Like we already had the shell of the house, and at this point, they got the house ordered, everything done. First step in this process we did in July. If you go watch back all my videos and the progression is, you'll see images of what they did. And go watch those old videos from the start. You'll see what they did with the concrete. In fact, if you're looking at images of those piers, go watch that video of concrete back in July. I took video images. You'll see a better idea of what they did when they did the fresh concrete, but I will take another video of it. So concrete people had to come in. At this point, I've gotten everything good. The house is ordered. Everything's a go. When I had all of my contractors at ready, got all the quotes from them, now was the time to schedule each contractor that I hired a concrete contractor, I hired an electrical contractor, and a plumbing contractor. Everything else I did myself besides legacy, building the shell of this house and my shed. I built the steps on the house. We got the house on foundation. I had to strap the house and bolt it down. That was some work. I'll talk about that in a minute. Insulated. The drywall, the flooring that you see here. Like I say, all this stuff is just going to vary depending on what kind of wall. Some people want shiplap. I just wasn't into that. It was much more expensive to do that. Incredibly expensive. With lumber, the cost of lumber right now, to shiplap this house, I don't know. It'd probably be a few $1,000s or more. Plus you have to treat it and paint it with certain paint and all. But you wouldn't have to do drywall, mudding, and taping. But man, oh man. It's some work. I mean, it's probably the cost is more so than the work. So, but anyway, moving forward, concrete. So I brought the concrete guys in July. They came in, they dug the footings, they did the rebar setting, and put in the hooked into PA straps that were leaning. These PA straps, I would say, concrete is 18 inches into the ground. PAs came up 18, up to 24. I'd say they were about 36 to 40 inches high. I mean, they were the PA 50 straps or PA 30. I can't remember. I don't know. None of that matters. Your architect engineers, where it matters. They'll tell you. And when they read the plans, this is part of having the plans. It's build detail. It's not on the design of this thing. It's about the build details. They know what materials. When the concrete guys looked at those plans, they knew exact dimensions. They knew how deep that concrete needed to be. In fact, they went deeper than the plan said. A few inches deeper. The concrete guys were like going, man, I've seen less concrete in bigger houses. I said, he goes, your architect engineer is old school. I said, yeah, he is. He's detailed too. I said, if you can tell, he's one of the only less few that hand draw his plans. He said, I saw that. So they can look at those plans. They know what kind of rebar you need. Then there's a number to the type of rebar, the dimension of all the concrete. Concrete's concrete. They come in and pour it. Trucks came in and pour it. The PA straps, what rating and type and size PA straps, all that stuff. The cinder blocks, how they're to be oriented, how tall. And, I talked to some, be careful with the concrete guys that you talk to, because the concrete guys are going to be saying, oh, some may get gung-ho and say, well, make it higher, man. Get it up off the ground so you can get up under the house. No. Tell them no matter what to build those to plans how the architect tells them to do it. Don't venture off this stuff. I talked about the height of those piers have got to be at least 24 inches. They don't want to be any higher than that. As I stated in the last video, they don't want to be any higher because the truck that delivers those sheds cannot get over 30 inches. So that's an important detail that I haven't heard anybody talk about, and you need to know. So they came in, and the concrete cost me about $11,000, give or take a few. I had a quote of $10,700, but there's a few $100s there somewhere or something. So 11,000, rounded off. Where you're at, it may be more, could be less. You may know somebody that helps you do this and they hook you up with the concrete at wholesale. I mean, that's up to you. I mean, I wish I'd have gotten hooked up like that. But there's just some things that you're not good at. I'm not good at. I'm not good at concrete. I'm not a concrete guy, not a brick mason. Though I'm about to get under this house, I think between the porch and the house, and I'm going to, instead of filling the thing with concrete, I'm going to get under there with some bricks and put some mortar and stack them in and just get it done so I can get out from under that house. But I've got to underpin it as well. When I say underpin, frame it and do the decking slat so nothing crawls up under the house. Insurance requires that, and that's something I'll talk about later. I still have to get that done. But anyway, they got that done. The concrete was done, I think. I couldn't believe with the building boom that we have here in the county that I'm in, that when they got it done, the guy was out there the next day and approved it. And I think we had some rain, but 3 or 4 days to a week later, or it would have been next day they would have been out here getting the footings poured. So a few days to a week later, they poured the concrete, got all done, and he had the next day, when they poured that, the guys came out with the cinder blocks. It took them 5-6 hours, man, 2 of them in the summer heat. God, I don't know how they did it. And they were mixing their own concrete and pouring it down the cinder blocks and lining everything up with the PAs. And on a side note, when you do this concrete for this house, be very adamant about the placement of your PA straps. When the house sets down, you've got an outer and inner band joist on. This is why I talked about your floor system. It's why you can't just buy these sheds off the lot and this cheap floor system. It's a single band floor system. House like this wouldn't hold up with it. And people don't talk about this stuff. They don't talk about it. Your band joist is about 4 inches thick, maybe. Inner and outer, and some other wood that comes in that locks it together. So 4 to 5 inches, depending on how it's done. It's a lot of wood down there. You've got the outer, and then they come across from the width of the house like this ways, and then the outer band and the inner band, and then you have the joists that come across, the floor joists. When they set that house down, you have to be very careful. Tell the guys who are setting the house down, please make sure that my PA straps are not, the house is not down on my PA straps. Double check them. Because they have a jack. They'll lift that thing up. Note this. They'll lift it up and they'll pull the PA straps for you, because I had a few of them, man. I was wondering if I was even going to be able to get the straps out. I had to cut one. The last one I got, I had to cut it, and I put it up against, and I had one bolt I got in it. But I put a bolt above it so it looked uniform, because few people were telling me, there's no way, he's not going to get up under that house, Dad. He's not going to. He's just looking for the bolts. And he didn't. He never got up under the house to check the insulation. But don't assume that they won't, because some places where you live, they'll get up under that house. Here, he was just looking for the bolts, and I guess they have some faith in me. I don't know. I thought they would be so hard on me, and the county was amazing. I can't thank them enough. They were fantastic. I blows my mind. These guys were wonderful. But anyway, just pay attention to that stuff. Make sure that they're flat PA straps, and you'll see them in that video. They're flat. They're steel straps, and you'll use like a 6-inch galvanized number 13 bolt. I can't remember the number. It was about yay long, about 6 inches, because you had about 4 inches, so it was coming to about 2 inches long. You know, and when you're getting up under there, bolting it, it's some work. You have a good socket ratchet and another wrench and hammer, and it's easy to have somebody with you that can hammer it through and have it, and you can eye it and be able to get it through the hole of the strap, because you have to hammer it back out and try again, because you're going to drill. You're going to take a 1/2-inch drill bit, and you're going to drill, probably better yet, you're going to be drilling a 5/8 drill bit, and you're going to drill that hole so that 1/2 inch, because the flat part of the back of that bolt, the round part, you have a square that has to go in that 5/8 hole to go flush. It's a 1/2 inch bolt, but there's that notch. So a 5/8 drill bit, and they're going to have to hammer that in, and you're going to have to get in, and you're going to have to crank it down. I'm telling you, it's some work. It's probably some of the hardest work I did on this house besides insulating it. And the insulation was some damn work. Watch the videos, you'll see it. So, but the concrete guys came in, and it was $11,000, and I can't stress enough, when you're hiring your contractors, do some research. I Googled this concrete guys, and they were recommended by the biggest concrete company in the area, and they panned out to be amazing. If you're in South Carolina, in the Charleston, South Carolina area, Lutzen Concrete, Lutzen. Look them up. They're amazing. Hire them. I'm telling you, they're just, the communication, everything about those guys they're fantastic. You know, Lutzen Concrete. So, moving on, next in the process, when they got the concrete done, the house got done, they set the house in. One important thing that you need to know is between those footings and the piers, and I'm going to back up for a second because I didn't cover something. It's cheaper to do perimeter footings. When I say perimeter, you're not doing a whole concrete slab under your house. You're not doing that because the concrete's cheaper. You're doing perimeter footings. If you do perimeter footings where there's dirt in the center, make sure you get somebody to come in, because the dirt may not be prepped, to dig out and pack down dirt really well, or put some crushed concrete. It's probably, I really wanted them to do crushed concrete under my house. It would have been so much easier. I wish they would have done it. It's like the guy didn't want to do it. And I was like, dude, I'll pay extra. Just get the crushed concrete in there and pack it down. Because he reassures that he won't sink. What it is when they drive that truck and they back it in here, you got to make sure, if you watch my video, the first attempt when they installed my house, the damn house sank 18 inches. His wheel sank into the ground, and my heart about stopped because he bumped into one of my piers. It could have gone all bad. I can't stress enough to make sure the dirt and the land between that is prepped. Find somebody, just pay the extra money and get crushed concrete put in there. It's cheaper than a slab. But if you want to spend the extra money, just tell your concrete guys, just do piers and just pour the whole slab up under and build it up 4 inches. That might be better too, so the water runs under it. Which I talked about, check your land and make sure it's prepped. You know, if you're deep into a soup bowl of water, you're going to have a lot of water under your house. It may behoove you to have somebody come in, pack in, and pay somebody to come in and build up that area. But if it's not, you should be okay. But these are the options that you're looking at. You be very careful when they do that concrete. So moving forward, I got the land prepped. I had to pay that guy about $800 or more to come in and do that, and another $500 for them to come back and set the house back down on it. I mean, that cost could vary depending on where you're at and who's delivering the sheds. But they had to set the shed in the yard for a few weeks and then come back. It had to get past rain and get everything dry and get it prepped. Not fun to have to spend an extra $1,500 or more, a couple of grand on that deal, but what are you going to do? You got to get it done. So these are the frustrations and the roadblocks you get into. But if you prepare enough for this, if you listen to my experience on this, you can definitely prevent the headache in the long run. So yes, if it's packed enough in the long term and there's not wet, packed dirt and it's done right, is fine. But it's almost like you had to dig out a swimming pool. But I'm telling you, crushed concrete is the ticket, because there's no way he's going to sink in that. And the water gets under there, it seeps down, it's not going to be muddy, and it won't hold under, so you should be fine on that. So the next step was they brought in the house, they set it down, I bolted it in. I've already talked about that. So once the house was in, I'd already had my shed in. They brought that prior. That was a part of the package of this house. They delivered the shed earlier. There's a video on that. Go watch that. That was a simple, easy process. It's 10 by 16 shed. I just told Legacy, do them both. I want them to match, same roofing, same underlayment, same framing. They were amazing. I can't stress again, do your research on a shed build company. You know, if you know some people are good framers, my architect engineer said, man, it'd be cheaper. This guy's making a killing on that. But it was, what Legacy did was a lot cheaper than framers coming in here doing this. But if you know how to frame and do it, it would behoove you know how to read plans and you have a bunch of friends. It's a lot cheaper to get to do a lumber takeoff and do the lumber and frame it yourself. Just make sure it's done right. Consult with your building code and ask those questions. Do not hesitate. Ask every question. Even if you think it's a stupid question, it's not. The stupid question is the one you don't ask, is the one that's going to bite you in the ass. Just ask those questions. My architect's like, man, if I wasn't up in age and I still had my license, I'd come out and I'd help y'all frame that. Man, I would sit there and guide you, you know. And he was sincere about it. He was just the nicest man. He really was. He was kind of retired, doing on his own, and he had a few jobs. He was like, I've got to stop a lot of these jobs. It's taking me, I'm sorry it's taking so long. It took a while for him to get me those plans. And I said, no worries. I appreciate it, because he hooked me up with the cost. He only charged me $750. It was nothing for him to do this. Most of what he was doing was commercial property and stuff like that. So I knew he was good. And the county knew who he was, and a lot of other people, so they knew it. But anyway, the house is here. It's all done. I had to get under there and bolt it down. There's videos on that, and it was some work. It took me about a week or so, week and a half to get it done. In that meantime, I had to prep the house to get it ready for my electrical and my plumbing contractors. So first things first, I built the steps on the house, and that took me about 6 hours. I thought I was going to screw that up. I was so nervous. I'd never built steps before, but I quickly learned by YouTube University, my friends. I've stressed this, and I'll say it again. There's a lot of good resources on YouTube. How to measure, you know, and you've got a riser on a step, and how to measure the height and your risers and divide it out, and it tells you if you got 5 feet high and it's a 7-inch riser, 35 divided by 7, you got 5 steps. I know it was quick, but someone will explain it to you on YouTube. Better them than me. But that helped me a lot. And there's a video of me kind of showing how I did that. It took me about 6 hours to do it, where it'd take a skilled contractor a couple hours or less. It's because I need to take my time and be methodical. And I've learned one thing out of this process. The more methodical and the more time you take to do it, the better job you're going to do, and you surprise yourself that you can actually do more than you think. Hell, I've never done drywall in my life, and it's not perfect, but it's done. And it impressed some people that have done drywall that said, don't worry about all that. The fact that you got this done is impressive, so it made me feel good. one of my plumbers had done drywall for years. He said, "Don't. You can have somebody come in later and skim coat that. Don't worry about it. It looks good considering you've never done it. Never done trim work, never done floor." I was amazed how easy it is to put vinyl plank flooring in. Now I know I can put vinyl plank flooring in if I never decide to do so again. So saves you a lot of money, folks, when you can do it yourself. So anyway, but be it that it may, I got the steps done. The steps cost here. Let me look here on my spreadsheet, man. I don't want to memorize all this stuff, but the stairs and material and all cost me about $300. So I got the stairs on. We got in the house. Everything's ready to go. After that, it was prep the inside of the house and get it ready for my plumber and my electrical. At that time, I was pretty much ready for them, but I needed to. One thing Legacy didn't do, and I'm going to backpedal a little bit. Sometimes I'm going to backpedal, and I don't mean to do this because when it comes to mind, I'll do it. So in the inside where they framed it, there were some things they missed because shed builders are in a habit of doing things, and they're not residential, but they framed it residential, but they forgot one thing. They forgot my corners. Corners where they framed the wall. The wall was framed if they didn't put an extra stud for your corners. And I show that in some of the videos. If you just look through them, you'll see where I'm putting them in. Reason being is that the wall went on one way, but there was no way for the wall to attack on the other side of the corner. So you'd have to put an extra 2x4 in the end of the corner. It's not a bad thing to do anyway, because it's strength, you know. They had almost like a king stud over here that the plumbers had to work around, and the electricians, they couldn't go through it because there was support and going through the floor joist. So there's things your plumbers have to work around. Like they didn't put the pipes in my walls, they put them up under the house and then ran up. It doesn't get that cold here. If I were up north somewhere where it froze and stuff, that would be a different situation and wouldn't be able to get away with that. But another situation is I had to deal with that, like when I put my shower stall in, I had to put a bunch of studs in so the shower wall, when I bolted in the door, had met, and then the corner. So check for that stuff. Like when you're doing sheetrock up top and where they framed my bathroom, there was little places where you need to check where the walls meet on the corners to make sure you have 2x4s. So check that. They didn't do that. So I had to prep for that. Got all that out of the way, and first contractor I brought in was my plumber. I brought my plumber because my plumber said, well, the electrician's stuff kind of gets in my way. So I said, well, you're the one that's coming in first. I'll get you done. The plumbing, the total for my plumbing and what he quoted, my plumber quoted, was he ran my water line from the water main. Remember I told you I had a tap and impact fee of about $1,200. Had to pay the city that. The water department came in, put the meter. You had to pay that tap and impact with that meter. And it was about $1,200. That was the tap and impact fee, and then the fee to open the account. You know, forgot the terminology of that. Sorry, but they came in, put that, and then he connected to that and ran the line. He charged me $1,000 to run my line. He ran that water line 200 feet to the house. He ran me a faucet in the yard for a while until he put it to the house. He said, don't worry about the freezing. It's not going to, you have to worry about any of that. It's not anything that's going to happen. If you're worried about it, he put me a shut-off valve in the street. You can shut it off. But he also put me, when he built the house, he finished my plumbing, he put a shut-off valve at the house too. So that's important. Tell your plumber to get you some shut-off valves in front of the water meter and in next to the house or in the house, because they don't like you messing with that water meter. In fact, some places it's against the law. Here, the town said don't mess with it. It's cheap. They'll just put a valve in a little box there and get it done for you. But he quoted me for the water line he ran. He quoted me for the sewage line they had to dig and do. That was about $1,000. The total for your plumbing, he quoted me for the rough out, which they came in, it roughed everything out before they did final. Before the inspector comes in for the rough out for your electrical and plumbing, he did all that to a point. He had to do the pressure test on all that. So all the stuff the plumber quoted me, all in all, was about $4,100 for the plumbing. Not bad for bringing in heavy equipment, doing my sewage line, lasering it. He did it in such a way that he thought at first they were going to have to do me a sewage pump, but he said, you're within 80 feet, I got you covered. He said, your plumbing line, your sewage line may have to come out the ground just a little bit at the house, but you can cover that. And then when you cover it, and then you got to clean out, and you put another clean out where the sewage line from the house meets the sewage line in the yard to the street. which is another side note. Make sure that you get a couple of clean outs strategically. Find a plumber that will do that for you, because it's going to make life a lot easier if you get a backup somewhere and they can go in. They don't have to get up under your house. They can run it and go and backwards and get that blockage out or fix your problem. Now, the only difference is if you have a cracked pipe, something happens, they have to get up under there. Same with the electrical. So $4,100 for the electrical. Then I brought in the electrician to do their rough out. Electrician did the rough out. He did the completion of all my fixtures and everything. Did my spotlight outside and everything I needed. Ran the wiring for the AC and everything. The electrical, sorry about this, was a little bit more. It was $6,900, almost $7,000. It was expensive. I was a little frustrated at first because he said, about $4,500, $5,000, but he got here, and I think it was had to get up under the house. But after the fact, I realized when they put in the meter box and ran all that line, that's a hell of a lot of work, man. Having to run that main power line through that conduit down there and up under my house and out. And I mean, it took 2 or 3 of them pulling and tugging. I mean, it took them half the day just to get that done. And then he terminated everything in my breaker box and had to bring a couple other guys in to help finish out all the fixtures and the completion of everything. It took them a while for this small of a house. So you're looking at about $6,900 to $7,000 for the electrical. It costs, but by law in South Carolina, I was required to hire an electrician. I could have done the plumbing, but I'm not a plumber. And you look at everything that goes into plumbing. My best advice to you is to hire a plumber. Hire a plumber. Just get it done. Just pay the money and get it done, because they're going to do it right for you. Plumber's going to know specifics that you need, especially if you have to have a septic tank. You may have a plumber that installs septic tanks. You may have to hire a separate company for a septic tank if you get that one. I've never had that done, but in quoting, in case, someone said in case you could do it. City said, no, you can't do a septic tank. You got to do the sewer and water. But $6,000 to up to $20,000 depending on what you do. Buddy of mine that helped me sheetrock here has a sewage pump at his house because the line was so long to the corner where he lives. But he was looking at another piece of property. He was going to have to get a septic tank that was going to cost around $20,000 because he was going to have to build it above ground and have a gravitation pump because it was going to pump upward and then down. Crazy. I don't understand the concept, but it had something to do with the land that he was on. So this is a part of doing the research on your land that you need to be aware of and do your research of. If you have to have a septic tank, what is required? A septic tank company doesn't mind coming out quoting, looking at your land and going, this is what you're going to need, because of that. That's what they do. They're going to know if you have to have a sewage pump, depending on if you have a septic tank, odds are you're not going to have a sewage pump because your house is going to be close to your house. Always is. Well, for the most part it is. Sometimes not so. So be it that may. So plumbing and electrical came in and they did the rough out. I didn't have to do... when I presented the plans, the architect engineer did what they call a manual J for the heating and air. They didn't need it, but I gave them to them anyway. They knew I was doing a mini split unit. So that's a part of the rough out. The mechanical you don't have to worry about because you're doing a mini split. And they'll know it if you tell them in the plans. Usually your inspector knows. You can remind the inspector it's pre-wired for mini split. But make sure it's as part of your good electrical part of your architect engineers to do that manual J, because that manual J is important to know what size unit you need. I've got an 18,000 BTU air conditioning on this thing. And he said, maybe a little high, but you'll thank me in the long run because you got a lot of windows in the house. It's not going to work as hard, and it will save you on power. It really will. So they did the rough out. They came into the inspections. Next in line, once he did the rough out, he passed inspection. He said, go ahead on to insulation. I got insulation done. Insulation, as crazy as it is, I use rock wool insulation in this house. Insulation costs more than the drywall, but it's a good insulation. And I'm telling you, I know a lot of people want to do spray foam, and that's cool and all, but there's frustrations with spray foam that you can collect mold and things can happen. It does seal and not having to vent or nothing, but I've got a little venting up top here, but it's not like massive venting, on this thing. there's some pressure venting and stuff with the front because it's not sealed off. But rock wool is mold and mildew resistant, proof, it's fireproof, it won't hold water, and its soundproofing and its insulation qualities are amazing. And do the research on it. Rock wool is amazing, it really is. But I used rock wool, and the cost on that was $2,200. And I got it insulated. It's $2,200 covered the underside of this house. I just did one layer of the 3-inch bed. I didn't do 6 inches under the house because with the LP flooring on here and this vinyl paint flooring, you don't lose a lot of heating and air through your floor. You just don't. I mean, floor may feel a little cold in the morning. You're going to have rugs. You may want to put some shoes on. It's a little cold in the morning, but every house is like that. There's no need for me and where I live to be stacking 6 to 12 inches of insulation up under that pier. 3 inches is fine. It passed for code for what they required. And the fact that they didn't even get under the house and look at it blows my mind. I could have not insulated it and they wouldn't even have looked. But don't take that chance, guys. Just do it right. Insulate the bottom of the house. But that covered that and the inside of this house. And there's videos of showing me do it. And mad props to the people who insulate for a living. God, I hate it. Oh, I hate it so bad. That's something that if I did this again, which is debatable, physically, I'd probably hire somebody to come in and do it or somebody to come help me. Gosh. I mean, it wasn't bad, but it was just, I hate insulation. I hate itching. I hate it. So anyway, so I got the insulation done. They came in and inspected the insulation. That had to be inspected. Just know that your inspections may vary depending on where you live. They may inspect your drywall, but they said once I drywalled, the next inspection wasn't until we got electricity fixtures in the house. They didn't inspect the drywall. It wasn't their thing here in South Carolina, or at least in Dorchester County. So it's like, okay, that's cool. So once we got the insulation passed, I'm going to backpedal for a second because there were materials I had to get prior to insulation. What you will have to do, and watch my videos, I talk about this, is you're going to have to prep before you insulate. In other words, you're going to have to caulk. You have to do gaps and cracks, windows and door foam around your windows, between your windows and your framing. And I'm telling you right now, as a side note, do the windows and doors foam. Don't just do any expandable foam because there are differences. The windows and doors foam is almost like that pool noodle, real soft foam, but it works. You don't want to do the heavy-duty massive foam because what it will do is it will expand your windows, but you won't be able to get them open. And in certain temperature extremities, it's going to play hell with getting your windows open. It can bend your windows, so use the right foam on that deal. There is a difference, and I've noticed that. But I also caulked in places where I didn't, and that's good too. So, but you're going to need to caulk between your floor and your bottom plate or your framing. Go watch that video. I caulked in strategic places. I put boric acid down before we put that in the crevices of the walls and such. Also, on a side note, before I did anything, I treated the house with Boracare. Go watch that video. Go watch the Boracare video. There's a cost on that. A couple of gallons of Boracare you're going to need to do if you do it right. Borate and supplies was $600. It's expensive. But that's the borate, that was all the caulk, that was the Flex 230 caulk, which is good for sealing off. It's called Dynaflex 230. Go watch the videos on this stuff, on Boracare and that stuff. There's a guy named Matt Reisinger that does a really good video on that. Watch that video. He talks about how to prep, and I talk about in that other video. A lot of this stuff that in the process I did, I talk about this stuff in these videos. Go watch those videos. It will really help you. So that's pretty much the cost of that. So, but I got it insulated, passed that inspection, then we were going to drywall. I had to order my drywall. My drywall cost, drywall supplies and all, surprisingly, tape, that's tape, mud, everything, drywall, cost me less than insulation. Cost me about, I got $1,000, but I think it was a little over $1,000. There was stuff I had to order. So I'd say $1,100-$1,200 average. So it's about $1,000. I'd say $1,000. Some of the stuff, you know, I got credited back. I didn't use all that insulation, so I got a little money on that went towards the drywall. So I'm looking at, average cost here, but it's not 100% exact because there were a few things I had to pay additionally to that. But you're getting a strong ballpark figure on that deal. So 1,000 to 1,200 bucks on the drywall and costs on this house. So once I got that done, I had to mud and tape, and that was part of that cost. I got that done. Once I got everything mudded and taped, I brought the electricians in. Actually, I didn't do that. I primed and painted. Once I got it primed, before I even painted, I brought the electricians in. They put all the fixtures in. That was a part of the electrical cost. They got that done. I painted. The paint and all for this, the typical cost of paint, about $45 a gallon for paint. Prime and paint is, sorry guys, I'm trying to get my eyes on this, but the prime and paint was $700 for all the paint and primer and everything. You will use all of that primer, that drywall primer. For new drywall, it soaks it up. It will take 2 coats of that. I encourage you to do that. The paint, all but about 1 gallon. But, when you do your square footage, you're going to do the whole cubic footage. You do the length and height of your walls and length and width of your ceilings. Do it all, the whole cubic. I did my walls and my ceiling all with eggshell paint, and it works great. You see some imperfections, and that's okay. I don't care. Later, you could skim coat or sand them. I see some places I should have sanded more. I see that, we did a technique with the drywall that I wish we would have cut it, and I used the flex corner beads on those. Would have been a little bit easier, but I don't care. I think it's fine for me overall, and I'm happy with it, and it works, and we're all different. You're going to do different things. Your setup is going to be different, When I set up my house, I wanted the kitchen and bathroom all on the same wall, and there's actually a cost benefit to that, because if you put everything on the same wall, he doesn't have to run as much pipe, and doesn't have to put as much work into it, and it can quote you a little bit less. It's easier if you have to fix that stuff. You're not chasing plumb pipes and stuff. Everything's on the same wall. Quick and easy find. This small of a house, going to be quick and easy anyway. So we painted and we primed. And the next on this, we've got trim. All my wood for my trim. Let's see here. Trim. I know I put the cost in here. Was about, sorry about this, guys. My trim, my wood, I use solid pine, fir pine trim. Tell me I didn't put that in here. I know I did. Trim was about 450 bucks for all that. I had to get it delivered. There were 12-foot sheets of trim. I don't even know if it was that much. I think it was $350 to $450. But you got to look at all the stuff I had to cut and all the trim. I mean, using solid wood. It's better than MDF. MDF gets wet, it expands, it damages. Just pay a little bit extra and do the solid fir pine, the 1x4s, 1x3s at Lowe's. It's the Reliabuilt brand, but they say the brand, I think it was another brand, but same thing. You'll see it when you get to Lowe's, but that's the cost of it. So, I have other odds and end costs on this. Other odds and ends, like my driveway cost of gravel. When I first did it, was like $1,800 worth of gravel, but I'm going to have to put more gravel. So you better look at your total driveway costs, because I brought $370 more worth of gravel. I did the gravel in front of my house and spread a little gravel out my driveway. You better look at about $3,000 in gravel to do your driveway if you do your liner, and that's getting somebody probably an extra $400 or $500 for somebody in a tractor to come spread it for you. So about $3,500 for your driveway, but it also depends how long your driveway is. We're looking at 150 feet back here for my driveway. You might not be in that. Like I say, your cost varies. So, let's see here. I'm going to look at this point. My blinds, I had window blinds that were about $400 worth of window blinds. It just depends. Total money I spent in caulk for this house. It's caulking the outside, the inside. It's about $300, give or take, maybe a little bit more. Caulking is key. You're going to need to caulk when you bring the house. Take some clear 230 caulk around between the wall and the floor joists. Caulk all that stuff. Caulk around your porch. I still have to get out there and caulk again. Another thing you're going to have to do is when they do that bathroom vent, you're going to have to cut the hole. Like, go watch my video where I cut the hole at top for the bathroom vent. It's easy to do. You have to take a hole saw about 4 inches. Just be careful. If you're not sure what you're doing, get somebody to help you. And the hole for the dryer vent, if you decide to do that. I did it for code. There's a dryer vent. Gives somebody the option to use a traditional dryer. I did the all-in-one washer dryer, which I'll talk about that later. They brought it the other day, and the damn thing, the steam dryer isn't working. It's throwing water in the drum, so I got to wait a couple more weeks for them to bring me another one. So, but it's a great unit. Just the thing didn't work. So, but anyway, you have to cut those holes. But a lot of that caulking, you have to get some silicone caulk on a lot of this stuff. The caulk cost is going to be where you're going to caulk your baseboards, all that stuff. So, that cost is going to vary. So, indeed. So, my hot water heater. I did a tankless electrical hot water heater. It was a German company. In fact, hang on one second and I'll get the name of it. I'll show you that. This shit is around there somewhere. I've got manuals everywhere. Here it is. Now, it's a 220 setup, and the electrician's going to need to know because he's going to have to wire a breakout for that. I did Stiebel Eltron. It's a German company. Stiebel, Stiebel. Next word, Eltron, Eltron. You can write that down. Some of the plumbing supply places carry them, have to be ordered. The German brands are your better ones. This one here was the Tempera 12 Plus. It's the Tempera. This is the man. This is Jenna. Hang on one second. I'll tell you the exact model. Give me 1 second. I gotta go look at the unit. It's just the Tempera Trend series. Trend. Tempera Trend series. It's German. The plumbing people will guide you to it. Just tell them what square footage, what you got. You don't need anything huge. It's an electrical hot water heater, so which should be fine. So, a toilet I bought from Lowe's. It was an all one-piece toilet because it's easier to clean. My shower. The toilet was about $130 a shower. I did a Dreamline shower stall, and my advice to you for the shower is to get it all, like the door, the walls, and the pan kit. Get your plumber to put the pan and the walls in. He's probably going to tell you to put the door in. I did a video on that. Be as methodical as you can when you put that door in, and very careful because it's tempered glass. But plumber has to cut those walls because they're a little bit longer than normal because depending on what size shower, they're standard walls. You get one-shot deal on that. So, but that was about a $1,600 set of shower system. So the water heater was about $500 in tax, almost $600. So it's what this stuff costs. So my cabinetry, kitchen cabinetry, $1,200 in cabinets, and bathroom vanity was $550, and it was a correction on my window blinds were about $550 as well. Sorry about that. Backing up. But my kitchen sink, I paid a few $100s for it. Lowe's ordered it. Kitchen sink could have been a little bit bigger, but that's okay. It was like a bar sink. Works fine for me. I don't care. Good thing about the butcher block countertop, I ordered that from Wayfair. Perfect size for what I needed. Is that I could always take that sink out, cut it longer, and put another sink in if I want to do it. But you can't do that with marble or Korean countertop. It's a one-shot deal on that deal. So I have one faucet, all in one. It's all I needed. Basically, on my cabinets, as you see behind me, is 36-inch sink base cabinet, a 36-inch base cabinet, and the 36-inch wall cabinet. That's all you need. That's all I needed. If you need more, that's fine. Now, above my refrigerator there, my weatherman shit there, above my refrigerator, I'm thinking I could put another two-door cabinet up there, but I don't know if it's wide enough. Right now, I don't care. Don't need it. Don't need that much cabinet space. This is a setup that you got to be a minimalist. You got to factor that you just don't need a lot of stuff. The less I have, the better for me. It's all, So I may have missed some additional stuff when it comes to cost. If you've got the question, ask me below and I'll tell you in the comments what that cost. But the total cost of this house, the total build, was about $68,000. When you start with the concrete, the driveway, running all the plumbing, the electrical, the house, shed, all of it. Inside, everything, $68,000. So give or take a few hundred here and there. I had to pay for some tree cutting, but I didn't include that in there. I didn't include my appliances in there or my furniture, which the bed's probably the only thing I bought. I had everything else in the refrigerator. Didn't include all that. The house itself is about 68 grand. So you add appliances in, you may be 68, 70,000. But again, that cost depends on where you live. If you're somewhere like New York or California, that cost could be through the roof. It just depends. If they let you do it in those states. Florida's kind of tough if they let you do it. But it's just some parts of the country, things cost less. Cost of living is cheaper. But some things aren't much different, But the more you do yourself, the better. You see my barn door slider there we got up. Right there. Clancy helped me. We did the plate. I cut the board. We did all, got the board in there. I got that from Wayfair, and I want to say the barn door slider was about $200. It was a little bit higher than it should have been, but I don't care. It's never really going to be shut much unless someone's here. It covers the breaker box that's behind that, which is kind of cool, and it really looks cool. I like it a lot. So, just an added feature. You might want to do a pocket door. I didn't want to because my luck, you got to get inside that wall. If that pocket door screws up and you have to replace it, I don't know what that process is like. Somebody can chime in and tell me. I just didn't want to do it. Not a lot of room for a door to go out and in. Now, be that it may, where you're looking at it now, I could have had a door there, could have opened up outward. It would have been fine. Just didn't want to do it, Just didn't want to impede any more room than possible. It's a small house. You're looking at 13 feet, 14 feet wide here, It's not much space. So my light fixtures that I got, that was an additional cost. Let me back up on that. I apologize. On the electrical costs, that was the electrician. My electrical fixtures, guys, and you want to tell your electrician exactly what you want. I'm going to back up for a second here. Tell your electrician exactly where you want these things placed. I told my electrician in this corner of my studio I wanted 20 amp outlets. Reason being is that if I plug a guitar amp into this thing, a 15 amp breaker, it could trip. And I had that problem at my condo. I couldn't crank a loud amp, but occasionally I do it low. But the power draw, tube amp, trip the breaker on that, So get specific if you want where your GFCI outlet outside are, where you want them in the kitchen. There's standard places of your counter. Make sure you got one under your counter. Where you want it in your bathroom. Where you want them where you're sleeping back there. You see one on the wall right there. So you want to make sure you do that. But my electrical fixtures cost me $900. That was an additional to the electrical. So add $900 to your electrical cost. But that's, again, approximate. But in this house, I've got ceiling fans, no lights because these pot lights are bright enough. I probably could have put a pot light above the kitchen, but I'm not worried about it. These pot lights are all LED. There's not one light bulb in this house. If I can tell you anything, get all your lighting LED. My porch light out here is LED. My spotlight out here is all LED. There's not one light bulb that I have to change in this house. They're all LED. In fact, my first power bill, I haven't run the AC. It's not hot in the summer. It was $24 last month. But I got to feel it maybe a little bit higher this month. But come summertime, it's probably going to go up. It's going to be interesting. The smaller place, I may see $50, $60 power bill a month. It's not bad. I expect to see it maybe more. So anyway. But anyway, the total cost was about $68,000. I'm going to go through a couple other things. I'm going to have to get off. I think they cut me off in an hour and I'm running long. But you're going to have, other costs, small stuff. you know, and you may feel like it's nickel and dime, and you just keep your receipts and you can add it up. I did. I kept all this stuff in case I was ever asked if there was any tax write off or anything you need. One important thing that I want to cover, and I talked about this in a video, I cannot stress this enough. If you're going to do this before you get your home insurance, you're going to get your certificate of occupancy and you're going to get home insurance. This is why I talk about if you got to do this right, or you're not going to be able to get insurance on this. I'm just telling you right now, you're not going to be able to do it. You got to protect your investment. While you're building it, you need to get something called builder's risk insurance. You can get it for 6 months or a year. I got it for 6 months. I think it's through Lloyd's of London or somebody. I can't remember. Your insurance, get an independent insurance agent. They'll find one for you. They were willing to get me I purchased an extra month on that and pay the premium of about $100 if I needed it. It was about $800. Get builder's risk insurance. It covers tornadoes, hurricanes, fire, somebody destroying it. You've got to protect this because, I mean, you could get into this and somebody destroy it and it's devastating. You lost just the shell of the house in my shed alone. I would have lost 26 grand right off the rip. You gotta protect your investment. Get builder's risk insurance. It's very important. Do that, please. So, other than that, there's not much more. But if you got questions, let me know. I covered the permits and everything. I'm gonna do a separate video and I'll show the plans, the image of the plans in that video, and walk around and show my piers. But go watch the video of them doing the concrete to answer your question about your piers. I hope that I got that covered for you. And this pretty much, as much as I can, breaks down the cost of this thing. But, you know, one thing I didn't add, my flooring. Let's look at my flooring. My apologies on that. I'm all over the place, it feels like. Flooring was $1,300 for this square footage. You're looking at about 13 by 33 and a half. So I just did 13 by 34 because it was a hair less than 13 feet in the width. So 13 by 34, that square footage. And it was about $1.80 to $2 a square foot is about the lowest I could get. For I wanted to get a good 12 mil thickness of wear on that floor. Get a good 12 mil, you should be fine. But the flooring, easy to put in. I put it in myself. I didn't realize how easy vinyl plank was to put in, but it is. So, last but not least, my closet system is in. I got that from Wayfair, and it's okay. It works. It's good. Got it bolted in the wall. That was, I think it was about $300 for that, $400. Depending on what you get, you know, and it works. It serves its purpose. Wall closet, because you got to have a closet. You got to have that. So, I talked about all my window costs and all that in the house. My AC unit, my Mr. Cool, I got it for about $1,600 off of Amazon with the company, and it was the unit, the condenser, the line set cover, and the rack, all that for about $1,600. It's an 18,000 BTU. If you decide to go less or you get a smaller building, you'll have a smaller unit. But if you've got one this big, which is a 14 by 40 feet long, that 18,000 BTU is going to be a way to go. I would also advise get a metal roof when you do this. Don't do shingles. Shingles absorb heat and it'll get hot. This metal roof, believe it or not, is actually a good deflector of heat. And my shed last summer, as hot as it got, it wasn't all that blazing hot inside the shed. It was steamy, like, you know, warm, but it really offset a lot of heat. So that metal roof, folks, make sure, and it's important, on the shed and your house, make sure they do an underlayment. That's that underlayment over the roof sheathing before they put the roofing down. You got to get that put in. Do not let them build that without an underlayment. A lot of times building inspectors ask that question. Make sure that that builder is taking photos and videos of that build and showing, in case they can't see it, showing that underlayment and everything that you're doing. So, but anyway, I'm going to get off here. I may have missed something. If I did ask, I will answer that question. I hope I've gotten a lot of the questions answered. This was a lot of work. I still haven't decided whether I would do this again. Knowing my crazy ass, I probably would. Physically, I don't know. It's a lot of labor, man, to this. But, you know, my props to people who do drywall and all this stuff. I'm telling you, God, it's some work. I don't know how I did this. I really don't. All I can say is I had a guiding hand on it, like, for sure on that one. So, but anyway, I appreciate you guys for watching. I'm going to jump off. I'm going to make sure this video is up for viewership because I know a lot of you aren't on here. It looks like there's only one of you on here. Don't know who it is, but I hope I've helped you as well because I'm not looking at the comments here. But I appreciate you. And like I say, chime in if you got any other questions. And I appreciate you. We'll talk soon. Be good. Bye.